Alright, gonna remix a song today. You're welcome to join me. Got a kind of a trashy punk song, kind of in the vein, trying to be in the vein of the Pixies or something like that, where it's just sort of drivey and loud. And I've got a mix done of it, but it's pretty exhausting to listen to because it is so slammed loud that it's a bit ear fatiguing. So we'll just I'm going to open it up again and try to do another mix that isn't so hard on the ears. I'm not going to use the Tascam. This is straight into Reaper at this point. This song started out in Reaper, and then it was on the Tascam for a while because the Tascam is so fast to get parts recorded. And then I went back into Reaper, of course, so I can get all the Universal Audio and Waves plugins. So this should be where I left it, what I'd called Mix 1. But again, it's so loud and slammed and compressed that it's just fatiguing, and you never want to be part of the loudness war problem, but you do want it to be perceived to be loud so that you can, it sounds okay on Spotify and radio compared to other songs, because everybody's slamming their stuff to the max. But this is just really really fatiguing. But I'll just play a little bit as I left it. So it's pretty much 5 minutes of that. Yeah, it's just a trashy garage pop punk rock song. Really nothing special about it. Not a lot of hooks or anything like that. Just I find these songs more difficult to mix when they're full on, like guitars and all the guitars and the bass, and because there's no space in the arrangement. I find a quieter song way easier to mix, like acoustic guitar and a couple, a violin or something. Like I find these full on distorted songs harder to mix. But so anyway, what I think I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and save this as mix 1 so that I could get back here if I ever needed to, and then I'm gonna go ahead and start a mix 2. And again, the goal here is just to get a less exhausting mix. Now, this is the point where I wish I had my mechanical faders. Long story, I'm between sets of that. I have the Project Mix IO, but it's Firewire and Black Lion Audio. They botched the mod on it. I gave them money. They wrecked it and then wouldn't take responsibility for wrecking it. So I actually paid Black Lion Audio to destroy a piece of gear for me, and they never made good on it after. I'll do a whole video about that sometime. But anyway, there's some real poison in that company. People don't realize. That was 10 years ago, but I know that the poison's been carried forward. But anyway, that's another video. What we got here? Again, I got the camera stationary, but I don't know if you can see where I'm pointing. Across the mix bus, I've got the ATR 102. So I use Vance Powell's settings on that, and he uses the 250 tape, half-inch tape, 15 IPS. He likes to have this CCIR on. I actually don't know what that is, but I know he does it, so I do it. And then if you open up here, he has the AutoCal on, and so yeah, I mean, I just copy Vance Powell's settings. He knows what he's doing. This is the 102 settings he likes. And then down here I've got my my bus comp. I just use the UAD Precision Bus Comp for now. I'm looking into some other ones. Every time I find one I find it's more for mastering than the mix down. So I am looking for a nice bus compressor, maybe the API 2500 or something like that. But this is okay for now. I always just start on the Master Rock preset, and then just make sure it's not slamming it too much. Now this one probably is going down to about -6. Let's just see. Get into the chunk of the song down here. Yeah, -6 right now. This is without it. This is with it. It really does provide that little bit of glue, that little 4% of glue that just makes it sound a little more commercial. And yeah, I have played with the threshold. It looks like I got the preset on, which I do, but then I play with it a little bit just to tweak it in place. So, I'm just going to save that again. I don't know why. I'm just a save happy guy. Let me just see what the video's doing here. Let this old camera roll. It says we're recording. I get no status on this old camera. So, now that I'm in mix 2, what am I going to do? Really the goal with this mix really is just to try another mix that isn't so slam, so tiring. I don't know. Let's hit it again here. She's just slammed to the max, and the song's 5 minutes. Why is this punk song 5 minutes? It's kind of a joke, you know. Like, I'm gonna make you listen to this for 5 minutes. It's hard to explain. My friends and I have a weird sense of humor, but anyway. Let's see. Let's grab all the tracks, and we're gonna zero them all down. So we got nothing. I should have prefaced this whole video by saying I'm an amateur. I've been studying this for 25 years, but I am by no means a professional. I am a forever student of when it comes to audio production. So take whatever I'm doing with a grain of salt. I think what I'm gonna do though is I think I'm gonna start with the kick and bass. So let's just get that kick in there. And, oh, this is the drum group. There we go. So right off the hop, yeah, so we're already clipping. Let's bring that kick down a little bit. You know, I'm going to bring the snare in now too. So that's already pretty loud in terms of the VU meter filling up. I want to get that bass in here now though too. So we're building the bottom of the house. When it's soloed out like this, you can hear all my bass mistakes. But it's a sloppy punk song. There's going to be bass mistakes. Okay, so that low end's soaking up a lot of the bandwidth right away. So why don't I just grab the 3 of them? Bass, kick. I don't know if I can do that with reverb. What is the button to multi-select? Okay, it's the Windows key on my Windows keyboard for Mac. Okay, bass, kick, and snare. You guys all come down. Okay. The other thing I'm going to do on this mix that I didn't do in the first mix, I'm going to turn the whole thing down. Basically what we call conversation level, you know, just, this is about as loud as a conversation would be. You don't want to mix with it blasting in your ears. You want to mix with it lower so that you can hear all the little things at conversation level. I'm going to give it a little more juice than that with my Apollo here. Alright, so, got my bass in. Hear my kick. I think I'm going to notch my kick up just a little bit. I'm sure the camera's not even picking that kick up. Okay, now as we build our house, I know we got overheads and stuff here to deal with. I want to bring the guitar in next. So this is the rhythm guitar. So I have almost all these tracks high passed a lot, and I know the guitar sounds a little unnatural. In fact, I may even put some bass back into that guitar. Just so the bass and the guitar converge together. But the bass is, you know, the bass is allowed to do what the bass does, and the guitar is allowed to do what the guitar does. Let's make sure the camera's recording. Okay, so then the next thing we have is this, what I call a tremolo guitar. She's pretty crispy. You can hear it. That's the rat. The rat sizzled the top of that guitar. So we'll bring that in. I just want to be able to hear it, or rather have the user go, do I hear another guitar? Do I hear something back there? Like just a kiss of it. So that's it. I mean, that's sort of the band playing, right? In terms of bass guitar and drums. Now let's get them hi-hats in here. I got lots of options on the hi-hats. I got a snare bottom mic. We'll be bringing that in a little bit to taste. I got hi-hats done in stereo, left and right. I mean, it's one hi-hat, but it's a stereo image, left and right of the hi-hat. I got overheads left and right. Why? Oh yeah, overheads left and right. Overhead 2 left and right, that's a second set. And then room left and right. I named these funny. Room left and right. And then room 2 left and right, which is like a really far, deep room. Like it's as if it's in the next room. Actually, I'll just show you what that sounds like by itself. So if I pop these guys by themselves. Like they're far away. That's not a great, it's not a room sound I enjoy, but we'll mix it in just a little bit. Just to get it sound a little more punky, right? Like a little more basement garagey. Alright, so what we got in our house here as we're building our house up. And that's pretty low level. Like I can talk over this song being played right now. And that tremolo's cutting a little bit more than I like. I'm going to bring that down. I don't really want people to hear the tremolo guitar. I want them to think they're hearing another guitar back there. So she's just a little bit, cutting through a little bit more than I would like. Okay, so next, let's get an overhead going. But let's get that snare bottom in. So I'm going to crank it first. Okay. So it's going to depend on how much you want to hear them snare chains at the bottom, right? The snare rattle. I'll probably adjust that to taste as we go. There it is without it. Gives it a little snap and crack, a little bit. Watch that meter over here that we don't clip out. Let's go back to the beginning of the song. I'm just gonna save my work. I'm a save freak. I save every 5 seconds. Alright, that drives pretty nice, I think. Let's get them overheads in. Or no, the hi-hat, sorry. Here we go. So I don't love that, so I'm going to bring that down. Because we can get more hi-hat out of the overheads. Bring them overheads up. About the context of the song and the mood of the song and what you're looking for, you know, like it's supposed to be a punk song, so the drums need to sound fairly cheap and dirty. Let's get the second set of overheads brought in. Yeah, because that's bordering on arena rock. I really don't want much of that. I'll let it bleed through the bottom here, just very little, but I'm not going to let it come through very much. Alright, let's get some room. I'm going to exaggerate the room. See, that almost sounds better than the overheads for this song. Keep having to reset my clip lights here. And then finally that last room, which I really didn't like, I'm just gonna let like the smallest little amount bleed through, just the smallest little amount. So that's essentially the house built. Now I'm gonna bring the vocals through. Now I put a rat distortion on the vocals too because the lyrics are pretty stupid. I didn't really want people to hear what I was saying. I wanted to be one of those songs where you kind of got to lean into it to hear what the singer's singing. So let's I'll bring that vocal up. Again, it's heavily distorted. With that I'm actually using Universal Audio's rat plugin because I recorded the vocal SM7B into a neve as if I was going to do like a nice vocal, like a proper vocal, but then I rawed it with the Universal Audio rat. So the rat on the guitar is a real rat. I got a rat 2 pedal around here somewhere. So let's get that vocal in here.
And show my teeth, screw up my eyes and slay all your neighbors. Oh, a lovely day for smoking and riding around, middle finger to the crowd. Oh, it's in the afternoon now. Push your songs, push your songs, your neighbors.
And again, I didn't want the vocals really audible. I wanted it to be the kind of song where you got to lean in to hear what he's saying. So that's to me is already less exhausting, less fatiguing to hear. If I need to pump the loudness up later, like this is the mix, the 2-bus mix, right? If I really feel that I need to pump and inflate this thing later, we can do that later when the album gets mastered. Either I'll do an amateur master or I'll send it off. I have a few guys. I'd actually I might use Todd Tobias, who's in the Guided by Voices family, so he's got reasonable rates. That is if he's still doing it. I haven't talked to him for a while, and I haven't hunted him down on the internet, but he was doing mastering, and that may be my guy to go to. The other one that anybody could go to for mastering when he's doing it is Kramer from Shimmy Disc, second Shimmy Bongwater fame. If you got the bit of money, he's not expensive, but if you got the money, Kramer will master for you. So I got a couple big name options, or I just run a pseudo master myself. There's AI options now, so a guy like me could get a lot of help just on my own computer with some of these AI. I think it's like Isotope and Ozone and things like that. Plus, I think SoftTube's got a few things. I got a plugin around here. Really haven't dug into it, but so it doesn't break the bank to get someone a big name to master for you. It doesn't have to, or you can try it yourself. So we'll see where we can get with this. My point was, if I'm going to need some more volume later out of this track, I'll let the mastering person, be it me or someone else, I'll let them do that. I don't want to slam this track. That's what Mix 1 was about. It was a slam, it was ear fatiguing. So I'm just going to turn it way down. And when it's down like that, I don't even know if the camera's picking that up. You can really hear things stick out. So when people put in their earbuds or they turn it up, they're really going to hear those things. So this is telling me that I need to turn the vocal down. One of the things making that vocal cut is I got the old LA2A on there. A little bit of gain, a little bit of peak reduction. You'll be able to see this needle move. Well, when the singing happens again. Let's go back to the singing. Yeah, you see this needle coming down. this is helping with the cut. Just to prove that here. Ooh, didn't make much of a difference really. It's subtle there. It is helping it cut though. It's helping tame the vocal dynamics as, you know, a compressor does. I at one point had an 1176 across the drum group. I didn't keep it. Here's what it would be with it. She's pretty pumpy at that setting. I guess I just couldn't find a place where the 1176 worked on the drum group. So I guess, you know, I think this is going to be it for a mix 2. I'll have something to compare mix 1 to. So let's see, just to make sure we're not forgetting anything. This track 2 is blank. That's my guitar, my tremolo guitar. That solo, I don't like it. It got scrapped. That was the ghost vocal, which doesn't go in. That was a second kick. I didn't like it. There's a second snare I didn't like. So this is it. What are we talking here? Well, we can count them later. Let's see. Let's just do another save. And I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna kind of turn her up for a minute here. Let's see what we get. Let's try it again. Let's listen to that intro again. So those vocals need to come up a bit. So at the beginning, mix 1, we were getting -6 compression. Now we're only getting -4 because we've eased up on slam and everything. I'll A/B the tape sim here. That's off. That's on. The tape sims are... I'm going to turn this way down a minute. Tape sims are subtle. I've even had the Rupert Neve, the Portico, I can't remember the model number. I want to say it's 511 or something like that. That might be the preamp. Tape sims are subtle, but they're the last 4 or 5%, and they really add like a polish that you can't get otherwise. So if you don't have a tape sim, you should look into it. Even a free one. There's free ones that are pretty dang good. But yeah, I have this one, and I was happy to know that Vance Powell from Nashville there that works with Jack White. He uses this or has demonstrated this before. So, but you can get a free tape sim. You know, those are pretty good too. So, all right, what we're gonna do now is bring the volume back up. Okay, so the room is annoying me. So I'm gonna find out which room mics I'm not loving here. Probably these ones. I'm gonna bring them down a little bit. No, it's not that. Maybe it's these overheads. Might be the hi-hats I'm not loving. all seasoned to taste, you know. It's all little micro movements on the faders, seasoned to taste. Alright, I think I'm ready for a render on that. No clip lights going off, so that's good. So if you don't know how to render, and we'll take this scenario because it's simple in that I've got a 16-bit, these are all 16-bit waves, 44.1, so I don't have to mess around with that at all. I can just go to File, Render. Oh, I should say, I already got my time selection where I want it. I always render on time selection. So I've started here. With the mouse, I've drug in the timeline. And I go all the way down here. And I'm just going to render the whole thing because later on when we master it, we can cut wherever we want to cut or we can fade out. You can end the song however you want. So I'm just going to render the whole thing. And yeah, it's a 5-minute punk song, and that's just to be silly about the whole thing. Save. So I'm going to go ahead and do a render. So I'm going to do master mix, which is this guy down here. The time selection. I'm going to call it Sneering Mix 2. And it's a wave, it's 16-bit. And yeah, I'm ready to go. I know my directory I wanted in. So we're ready to go here. So I'm going to go ahead and render. This is going to take about, I don't know, 4 minutes. Yeah. As the computer gets a better feel for the algorithm, like what it has, the work it has to do, and how it has to go through it, that'll come down a lot. Like it says 4 minutes, but it's a non-linear time estimation. It'll come down a lot. So I always keep little cards here. I don't know if the camera can see that. So I like to limit my tracks, even though Reaper could do a gazillion tracks. I don't think you should. I think people at home, or just people, should do 16 to 24 tracks at the most. We're not putting on a production of Phantom of the Opera here. We don't need 128, 256 tracks that every cello and violin has its own track. I didn't keep her down to, 8, 16, 24. I think less is more when it comes to, audio production. This just tells me that ultimately right now, this is in Reaper, because it could either be in Reaper or it could be on my Tascam, right? Or it could be on a 4-track. Reaper, now that says 24, that's wrong. I've got it in 16, so it's 44.1, 16. And then I've just written my tracks out here. I'm having a heck of a time keeping this card straight. There we go. Bass was my Hofner through the Heritage Neve clone, and then right in. So the bass was directed in, which means it gets no preamp or amp sound. It gets a preamp of the Heritage, but it doesn't get it's DI'd. So I actually put the, I can't show you right now because it's rendering still, but I actually put the Universal Audio Ampeg amp on there, which is a go-to for me. It's fairly classic vintage sound in a good way. Well, that's to taste. I could have maybe spent a little more time on the bass sound. Does this punk song need a vintage Hofner on it? Probably not, but that's what I ended up with. The guitar was a Les Paul through the Ruby pedal, which is like a Vox emulator pedal, and then the Rat. This guitar tremolo was through, with my red Fender Strat, through the Vox, or I should say the Ruby, then through the Rat, and then through this tremolo pedal, which was it's a homebrew pedal. I actually have it here. So quite unique, this thing. It really doesn't sound like any tremolo that you can just buy. It doesn't sound like the Boss Green one or anything like that. She's real specific, and a little bit, the circuit's a little bit rough, so you get a lot of unpredictable stuff, which I like in pedals. But this is one of those build your own clones. So you can get one of these for used to be like $70, and you could solder it together in an hour or so. But yeah, kind of unique. So that's the tremolo I used. Looks like my render is done, or just about done. What else we got here? We get the solo, which I killed. It's not even on there anymore. The vocals were the SM7 to the neve. The ghost vocal was just an SM58. Kick, snare, snare. Now, there's not a lot of information about the mics or preamps. Normally, I would have put the snare was an SM57 through an API preamp or whatever. Like, I would list all that out. But the drums on this song came from Easy Drummer 3. They're a MIDI file, Easy Drummer 3, the Steve Albini module. And then I got my little time signatures on here. At the 1 minute mark it starts. At the 2:42 you get garage, which is a lyric, garage. So just so you know when to jump ahead. And then I always keep notes on the dates and what I've done. So that's just one way you can keep a card, so that later on if you go, well, I really like how I got that vocal sound or that guitar sound or that guitar amp. Well, how are you going to know to reproduce that if you didn't write it down? And trust me, I got 25 years of recordings going, man, what guitar was that? What amp was that? What compressor was that? Well, if you don't write it down, you're not going to know. You're not going to be able to get back to that sound and start developing a library for yourself of what works. So, all right, so we got our render. Our render, look at that, is still a pretty big, fat, chunky wave, but, you know, rip a Pearl Jam song off a CD and you're going to see a big, fat, chunky wave like that. Like, you know, digital music is. But that's, I think I've done a service to this mix in terms of not exhausting as much as that mix 1 was. So let's open in folder. And I'm going to go to my wave file. I'm going to double click. Being a Mac, it's going to open in music. And we'll just see what we get here. So I can already tell that is less exhausting than the mix 1. You'll never be able to hear that comparison via the camera audio. I'm just right now I'm copying it to my NAS drive so that I can hear it on other systems. And eventually I'll play this in the van. Your car or van, truck, your automobile stereo system is, to me, that's your final listen, no matter who you are. Or you could, iPhone buds, but I just find a car stereo is a really good final listen to your mix to see that everything isn't sounding wonky or homemade. Then the other thing you can do is you can pull up, I don't want to get copyright violated here, but you can pull up something like this. Get the dims off here. Right? Pull up a reference track and then go back to yours. So mine's a little hotter. Slammed a little louder than some of this stuff. So I could probably tone it down some more and maybe I'll do a mix 3, but anyway, we set out to do what we wanted to do this afternoon. Thanks for coming along with me. And we'll talk to you later.